This is True Sports and a live broadcast.
What's up? What's up?
Woohoo!
Week 10.
Milestone.
Woo! Yeah. I was trying to make noises, like party noises, but that didn't really work out.
No, not so much.
It ended up sounding kind of like an offbeat drum beat. But anyways.
Episode 10.
What's
milestone.
up, everybody? Yup, 10 weeks in. It's finally the double digits. So, yeah.
Finally.
No longer babies in this. Well, kind of still, but
Yeah, we're
so
making
week
progress, man. We got more followers on Twitter now, and I've been noticing that SoundCloud is just skyrocketing. So
10. The listens, and even we have a good amount of followers now starting to build little by little, which is good. I didn't really think we would get much done, but yeah, it's good. It's dope.
Awesome.
We appreciate the support. Unhinged Sports Talk. Ooh, yes. I got it in the beginning.
Bam, bam.
We should have like a ding or like a boom every time.
Ding. There you
or
go.
I could just add that and they won't know that. I mean, yeah, you like that ding, huh? Okay, anyway, so
let's get started.
Yeah, so we get started with you had a question, right? You had a teaser.
Well, because I teased boxing last week. We haven't talked about any we haven't talked about any combat sports. And boxing is boxing and UFC.
Nice.
But I had a question for you about boxing.
Okay, shoot.
Is boxing still relevant in combat sports dominated genre? In other words, you could put boxing and UFC and all these other combat sports in a genre.
Yeah.
Is boxing still relevant, or have we reached a day and age where boxing has become almost like a minor league to UFC?
Okay. I think it's still relevant. I just think that it's reached its peak, and I think we all know where that peak was when the whole Pacquiao Mayweather fight. That was the highest selling pay-per-view of all time, which was 4.6 million buys.
Yeah, and it was highly disappointing.
Exactly. That brings me to my next point. It was their biggest accomplishment, but also their biggest demise, what I feel. And the reason why I say that is because majority of the people, okay, will you buy another pay-per-view fight?
No.
What would it take? Almost a miracle for you to pay for another one. Am I correct?
It would take Triple G and Canelo.
Canelo?
Yeah.
But for that, you'd have you'd want to, have a lot of people over. It would be an event. That's a huge event. But, and that's what I'm saying. That fight, the Pacquiao Mayweather fight, turned a lot of people off. Turned a lot of people off who were either casual boxing fans or kind of on the fence about it, who were kind of going more the UFC route. It kind of just turned them, you know what? This isn't what I want to see, because that fight was disappointing. It was such a buildup for 5 years. They were both not even in their prime anymore.
More than that, it felt.
Pacquiao wasn't even in his prime. I mean, it was very disappointing. But see, the thing is, I still keep up with boxing. I still watch, the boxing fights on HBO, Showtime. I'll catch pay-per-views and stuff. Not every time, the week that they come out. Sometimes if I don't want to pay for it, I'll just watch them, the next week or anything. But there's still good quality fights. But before I get into that, I did also want to mention that since 2015, this was a number that I looked up. There's only been one fight in boxing that went over 1 million buys, which was the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. The only thing that got close to that was when Canelo fought Cotto, and that was at 900K. But in UFC, can you guess how many since 2015 have gone over 1 million buys?
Negative.
5. So they're doing better numbers than boxing by far. And this was something that years ago, kind of boxing was, always, the talk of everything, in the last decade or so, where UFC came and is just kind of doing these monster numbers. The thing about it, though, I heard Max Kellerman talking about it a while ago, because Max Kellerman does the whole HBO boxing thing, but even he himself said the demise or the possible demise of HBO, and where UFC has the upper hand, is that they have Dana White, not necessarily him, exactly, but they have that personality. They have that person who determines who's gonna fight. He gets the best fighters, the fighters that people want to see, and he makes them fight. When the biggest, if he was in charge for boxing, hypothetically, that Mayweather Pacquiao fight would have happened a long time ago. That Canelo Triple G fight would have happened like months ago.
Yeah.
But instead, they're trying to build up this fight. They're trying to build up this hype, which I think, it seems like Canelo's trying to kind of borrow the Mayweather like selling point to build up all these fights, to prolong them, to make the fights bigger. The only thing is he doesn't have the mouth that Mayweather has, where he talks so much crap you just wanted to watch him. So you wanted him to lose a lot of times. Or if you liked what he did, you wanted him to win and you wanted him to prove that he was the best ever or whatever. Canelo doesn't have that. Canelo is more of like a quiet, reserved to himself. But I mean, he has the fan base. He still has the pay-per-view numbers, which is like the only fighter that's really putting up numbers. That Ward Kovalev fight was awesome. That was a great fight. That was one of the best fights I've seen in years. But it still didn't put up that great numbers. Not many people knew about it. Not many people paid attention unless you follow boxing. There was that. Have you ever heard of this guy named Chocolatito? He's this guy. Is he from Nicaragua, I believe? Little short guy. They call him Chocolatito because he's kind of dark, kind of like chocolatey skin. But he's been rated by a lot of boxing analysts as the best pound for pound. He's like a flyweight boxer, I believe. But he's a monster. Last fight that he had was he was on the undercard with the Triple G fight. There was this he fought, what was his name? What was his name? I had it. Carlos Cuadras. They fought. It was a great fight. They were going back and forth. Chocolatito's been known for just dominating people and just like, he cuts off the ring for you. He could take a hit, but he hits hard, especially for his size. Him, that other fight they were having, it was just kind of going back and forth. There was a few rounds that Chocolatito were like, he's a little trouble and stuff, but he still won the fight. There's been a few good fights. Danny Garcia's gonna fight Keith Thurman in March. But I mean, there's not many people who know those names. Whereas the UFC, everyone knows, like Conor McGregor, Ronda Rousey has a fight in December. Nate Diaz with that fight with Conor McGregor, that the rematch they had, that was the biggest fight that UFC had, and that ended up being, that kind of like, if you followed UFC, you kind of knew who Nate Diaz was. But if you were kind of like a casual fan or you weren't really into it, you didn't really know who he was. But that fight alone, brought him into like that superstardom, which is beneficial for them. They build up another star.
It's because they're always in your face. I think the thing that
their promotion for their stars is awesome though too, and there's always someone new. There's always somebody new who's ready to come up, and anybody can lose to anybody. Yeah. No one's unstoppable.
It takes boxing 3-4 years to do what Dana White can do twice a year. And I think that's the biggest discrepancy right now, is the fact that Dana White is making ridiculous amounts of money 2-3 times a year, where boxing is building up to try and make, and boxing in their biggest pay-per-views will make more, but it's quantity, right? And Dana White is capitalizing on quantity, and in quantity, he also is delivering quality.
Oh no, the quality is good. I mean, those fights are awesome because like everybody could be 1 or 2 hits away from getting knocked out, or being knocked down and then being taken in submission. Someone could do like a reverse submission when they're on the floor. Like, you've seen it happen when someone gets choked out. Like when McGregor got choked out, you're like, what the heck? Like when Ronda Rousey got knocked out. A lot of people didn't see that happening. I mean, unless you knew both fighters, you're like, you know what? I knew some people that were like, don't underestimate Holly Holm. She's good. She's a striker. And they said, Ronda better not try to box her. This girl is a champion boxer. She knows what she's doing. Ronda's not good with her stand-up game. And then when Ronda was, trying to step up and trying to outbox her, she got outboxed by a boxing champ. And she got knocked out. That was crazy. Like, for the sports world, how long were people talking about that fight? How long were people talking about how Ronda got defeated? And, I mean, I'm sure it sucked for her because she was on top of the world. But, it was great entertainment for their sport and for, what they were trying to sell.
My bad.
Wow, really?
I thought I had my laptop muted. And thanks, ESPN. Jeez.
Those ads always pop up.
No, I agree. The funny thing is, I actually called the Rousey fight. I wanted her to win so bad, but I felt like she was outmatched with that fight, and I felt like she was the only person that didn't realize that she was outmatched. That Holly Holm.
So you heard of Holly Holm before?
I watched highlight tapes on her
Okay, so
before
you know
the
what
fight,
she could do.
and I saw what she could do, and I was like, this girl is dangerous. And the biggest thing that stood out to me was her ability to keep fighters at a distance with her kicks.
Yeah.
And so my thought was, Rousey better get her on the ground as quick as possible.
Yeah.
The other thing is
And
that
what did Rousey do?
right, she
She
tried to box with her,
outbox a boxer.
yeah, and that was her biggest mistake.
Yeah.
You know, she tried to go at her strength by matching her strength, and that was her biggest mistake. I think she won't make that mistake again. I think if she had a chance for a rematch, we would see a different outcome. But
I read this thing, this article on, I want to say it was ESPN. I don't know, it was somewhere. They were saying that Rousey's kind of still having a tough time even with this comeback match. That I guess she had to be like consoled on the side after their press conference, which is kind of like, you know, interesting.
It's tough.
No, but I'm just saying what, like, it seems like now, like, you know, you're hearing these little things, but she might not be mentally prepared or even stable to actually have the fight.
Yeah,
I mean, we've seen it happen before in UFC where if the star isn't ready to go that night, the fight is still happening with somebody else. They'll get someone else.
Yeah,
it's like with McGregor and
they
Diaz.
replaced.
Diaz, I mean, that happened like in a week or two.
Yeah,
they got him but there's times where even like, you know,
they replaced John Jones like it was nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're not gonna wait on anybody. UFC, the stars do not make the sport. The sport makes the stars.
Right.
Which is different than boxing. Because a lot of the stars, especially, I mean, it happened with like the whole.
But I think if boxing took the UFC approach of marketing, that we would see a different boxing. I think it would rejuvenate boxing because you have fighters like Triple G and Canelo who you don't hear about for an entire year and a half. And then all of a sudden, you start hearing about them because they're in a fight.
Well, Canelo fights like twice a year. Triple G fights like 2 to 3 times a year. So you don't hear about them until like a month before the fight.
My point is that I never hear about these fights. Never.
Oh, I do.
I have to go looking for them to find them.
Really? Well, because I follow a lot of like boxing stuff on like on Instagram,
that's my
Facebook.
point. You have to be a boxing fan.
Oh yeah, you do.
In order to know about this stuff. UFC, you don't. Why? Because they put it in your face all the time. Okay, if you want to watch, you could watch right now. I could probably flip through my TV and find a UFC fight from maybe a couple months ago, and it would be they would have a series of 5-6 fights, and it would be UFC Friday night, and they would have fights from a couple months ago.
Yeah, their promotion is not as good. I get you. Yeah, it's true.
Boxing doesn't do that.
Well, yeah, because there's a lot of times where I'll tell you, oh, did you hear
you
about?
You have to have HBO.
Or if I tell you, oh, did you hear about so and so fight? Like, now, who's that? I mean, and it happens a lot. I have this same conversation with people where like they'll tell me, oh, what are you doing? Or hey, what are you doing this weekend? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna watch the whoever fight. They're like, oh,
they're too proprietary to networks.
Yeah, they are. Well, it's HBO or Showtime. Right. You have to have one or the other. And a lot of times I ended up. I have HBO, so if it's HBO pay-per-view, unless it's like a big fight, I'm like, oh well, I'll just watch it because they have it on HBO the following weekend. So I'm like, oh, I'll just wait for that. I mean, it's only a week, and like you said, it's not everywhere. It's not in your face. So I just have to remember, don't go to that page so you won't know who wins, or try not to like go on social media as much for a bit. Yeah. Or
I mean, how often do you hear about boxing on like ESPN or Fox or any of these major networks?
They don't, unless it's like a big fight.
Unless it's like Max Kellerman. He's the only one that talks about boxing.
Unless it's like a mega fight. And even Max Kellerman, sometimes they have to ask him, oh, what do you like? I remember when they had him, Max Marcellus. Marcellus, oh, what are you doing this week? He's like, oh, I have a fight. He's like, oh, he's fighting. And it'd be like a couple of days before. He's like, oh,
it would be like a Triple G fight. And you'd be like, what? Triple G's fighting this week?
And then Marcellus would be like, oh, I'm there. Where is it? And like, yeah, it's like I mean, a lot, they don't promote it. My biggest thing, though, is that if they would succeed a lot more and they can get their ratings up if they stop trying to live in the past. I don't think that they've kind of jumped into this 21st century with, us wanting everything so quickly. We're in this age of, our smartphones. We have everything that's mobile, that's, that we can stream everything with easy access. And we want a hyped up fight now We don't want to wait years to watch it because by that time, we're gonna be on like to 6 great UFC fights by then.
Yep. And nobody's gonna care at that point.
They're not, and they need someone like I said, like Dana White, somebody who can control and dictate who's
somebody
gonna fight.
Young.
Yeah, or
it
no.
has to be somebody young because my thought is that boxing
honestly,
is too old school.
No, very, very.
You know,
no,
they're like golf.
Yeah, they are, and also like you're probably gonna find like baseball. And
no, it is baseball. Baseball is extremely frustrating because they don't allow the players to express themselves, and they don't. You know, they get mad at them or
like the bat flip. Remember how big of a deal that was?
Yeah, Puig's bat flip was like this huge ordeal, and it was like all he did was flip the bat.
I'm like, he's excited
a foot after hitting a home run.
No, I'm like, don't you want these people to express like how excited and how in love they are with the game? They're like, oh, that's disrespectful. I'm like, come on, it's about
that's what I love about Dodgers though. The Dodgers
like, it's
don't
about
care.
Competition. Like I don't know. Like that's what's frustrating, and that's the way I also see boxing. Is that they don't want to let somebody. I mean, because it's all about money. You know, you have to pay to own those belts. You have to pay a fee in order to keep those. That's why a lot of times people end up just like leaving them. Suppose that's why Canelo ended up vacating one of them. But a lot of people were saying he didn't want to fight in the 160 weight. But I mean, you have to pay for it. I know that's why I think Cotto didn't want to pay a fee as well when he was going to end up fighting for it. It's just. There's so many rules, and it's all about money, and it's all about this old school money. And I don't think that they want somebody coming in there and fixing everything for the fans and for the sake of the sport and for the sake of the business. It's dropping a lot, and I mean, I still love it, but I mean, I know there's a lot more people that follow UFC religiously.
It's funny that you meant dropping a lot. There's somebody who's dropping, going in reverse, backwards, downhill, shall we say? I'm talking about your beloved Clippers.
Because they lost like 2 games in a week.
They're falling backwards.
They're
falling backwards.
They've only lost 4 games in the season. I don't think that's that bad.
They're falling backwards, and the Warriors are climbing like we knew was going to happen.
I never thought the Clippers would be the number 1 seed for the rest of the season. I think they'll be like 3 or so in the West.
No, I think they're still going to fall to 4.
Ooh. That's so bad.
No, I mean, hey, that's a big difference because it determines who you're playing. You know, if you're 4, then you're playing 5 seed. You know, that could mean the difference of playing a better team. So it is a big deal.
They're only 1.5 games behind the Warriors. I don't think it's that bad. And like I said, I don't expect them to.
But the Warriors are on like a demolition path right now.
Oh,
like they're literally just destroying.
Didn't we think that was going to happen though? And I said give the Warriors a little bit of time. Once they get that chemistry going, they're gonna be great.
You know what I noticed? So I've watched like 5 or 6 of the Warriors games now. What I've noticed is that they have it down to a science as far as their rotations. So Durant, you know, obviously is starting, but then he goes out at about 7-8 minutes. Mm-hmm. Which you would think that would be weird, right? Like, why would you not have Durant play more of the first quarter? But then Steph goes out around the 2-minute mark, and Durant comes back in. And so what's happening is that the Warriors have a superstar on the court at all times.
That's smart.
So they always have somebody that can get them buckets.
There's never a top 5 player on the court
at all times. Yeah, there's never a minute in the game where they don't have somebody who could just get a shot whenever they want.
Or someone who could just go off and destroy the other team. Yeah.
Exactly.
Or cut a 10-point deficit down.
Exactly.
In like a minute.
And that's why these 2 guys are both, you know, scoring 25, 28 points each a game. And then not to mention the fact that you got Klay Thompson in there mixing it up with them. And I mean, they're not very deep on the bench. That's the thing. So my concern with them is that they're playing pretty heavy minutes, and they are not deep on the bench.
Hold on, I just wanted to mention one thing. Did you see that interview where Klay? It was probably like a week or 2 ago, where he was, where they were just talking to him and he's just chilling. He just takes a sip of his beer and just puts it down and finishes the question.
Yeah,
that was
sipping on his beer. Yeah. And everybody has a big problem with it.
I know. I'm like, dude, like
you're supposed to be a professional athlete. You're not supposed to be drinking beer.
Thug life.
Like, come on, guys. That guy's got like 0.2% body fat. I think he'll be all right.
I know. I'm sure he doesn't. You know, he doesn't overdo it.
Yeah, he's not. He's not a raging alcoholic. Yeah. You know.
I'm sure he's all right. But I'm sure he'll sweat it about later on.
So I want to go over the power rankings really quick.
Your power rankings or the
these are ESPN power rankings.
Got it.
My power rankings would be slightly different, though pretty much the same. So right now they still have the Cavs at 1.
Did you say
Warriors
slightly different, but pretty much the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
In layman's terms.
Okay, got it.
Got it. Spurs are at 3, and Clippers drop 2 to number 4. Right now they're 14-4. So all you Clipper fans or all you bandwagon Clipper fans that got overly excited, like I said, slow your roll.
Like I said, we're still fine.
They're
Still
really
in top
good.
5.
They're a really good regular season team. They're gonna have a good record. Let's see what they do in the playoffs.
I still think that they'll finish the season in the 3rd seed.
Another team that's climbing that we kind of knew would climb is the Raptors. Raptors are up to 5. Bulls, of course, are climbing. They're up to 6. Rockets are climbing a bit, only because James Harden is carrying that team.
Which we all knew was going to happen, though.
Right. I mean, their situation is a lot like the Thunder. He's playing out of his mind. So, they're actually doing worse than I even expected. Mm-hmm. But they're still going to get wins because they have James Harden. So
and because he's playing the point now.
Yeah, and because he's
playing
the ball
at all times.
Yep.
Yeah, fear that beard, man.
The Grizzlies are climbing.
But we had discussed that. You even said that.
I didn't think that they would climb this fast.
Oh, okay. You thought it was going to take some time?
Yeah, they beat the Clippers, which I think kind of shocked a lot of people.
By what, like 2 points, 3 points?
A win's a win. Dude, I got offered tickets.
I know. I wanted to go.
I know. I texted you and I was like, man, let's go. Because my boss has season tickets. So I had the tickets in my hand. And
I wish you'd have told me. Like, I wish you would have known like a day before that I would have just called off of work or just had in mind like, okay, I'm gonna leave work early in order to do this. But at that time, like, I can't leave right now.
But I gave them to one of my employees who really busts his butt and works hard. So it was cool to be able to give tickets to somebody who who really deserved them.
That's good though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the Jazz are at 9. So they're climbing back up. Which was the Jazz is my sleeper pick.
That's kind of high though. I didn't think they'd be 9.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, man. They're dangerous. A lot of people are underestimating them.
They're young too, right?
Yep. Celtics are at 10.
That's right. I love me the Celtics because I know it pisses off Laker fans.
It doesn't piss me off because they suck.
Well, they're higher than the Lakers, so.
Thunder are at 11, which they've been dropping, but they're kind of holding at 11 right now.
No, last week they were at 11, so they're the same.
That's what I'm saying. They're holding at 11.
But you said they've been dropping.
They were at 7 a couple weeks ago.
Chris.
Right. So
in the
dropped.
in the first week.
Holding. Okay. So they're at 10 and 8. The Hornets dropped 6, which I told you that was going to happen. There was no way they were going to stay up in the top 7. That was not happening. They're a talented team,
6,
but
that means they were in 6, Chris, not 7.
They were. I said top 7.
I know, but they were in 6, not 7.
Okay.
Hey, I honestly think that the Hornets will be a good team in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I think that they might surprise somebody.
Yeah.
They like if
they're going to give somebody a run.
No, but
sure.
I think that even if like in the first, as long as they're not like in the 8th seed, maybe even like 7th seed, I think that they can possibly take out a team in the first round.
The Hawks, boo, are 13.
You love the Hawks.
The only reason why I say boo to the Hawks is because they got Dwight Howard. Hawks, Atlanta, it's nothing against you guys. I just cannot stand Dwight Howard. Speaking of Dwight Howard,
who's
you
Dwight
sent me
Howard?
that cool little video.
Is that the guy whose jersey you have on your wall?
Oh yeah. The one that has all the burn marks on it, and it has a
And
picture of Kobe Bryant on top of it.
No, don't you have? No, that's your blanket. Don't you have Dwight Howard's Men's Fitness poster on your wall blown up?
Yeah. How'd you know?
I've seen it.
So you sent me a link earlier to a video of after the Laker game where the Lakers blew out the Hawks and completely shut Dwight Howard out after the first quarter. At the end of the game, he's walking into the tunnel, and fans are giving him crap, of course, because Laker fans can't stand Dwight Howard.
Why?
And and then he goes over to the railing, is like telling the guy, like, come back here, we'll fight.
Yeah, he comes back. No, he walked past him,
he walked back. Yeah. And was like trying to challenge this probably middle-aged overweight man to a fight. And it's like, come on, dude. I really hope he gets suspended for that.
Why?
Because, think about it like this.
Okay, do you think it's suspension necessary or fine?
If Meta did that, do you think he would be playing basketball anymore?
I do think he would. I think that they would just probably give him like a couple $1,000 fine.
There would be a fine or a suspension.
I don't think there'd be a suspension. I think that they should definitely address it with Dwight.
You can't challenge fans to come down into the locker room area and fight you.
I mean, it happens all the time.
Come on, dude.
I'm just because he didn't necessarily like get closer,
talk crap back,
or like physically like try to put his head.
Dude, he shoved the security guard out of his way to get to him.
Yeah, but there was still like
he said, "No, get out of my way," and he shoved the security guard.
Like a good 5 feet from the railing. I mean, there was no way. I mean, I think Dwight was trying to make a show like he was going to do something. I don't think Dwight would have done anything.
No, he would. I don't think he would have done anything.
I don't think he would have done anything.
It's the fact that he was threatening a fan. Like, yes, the fans are extremely mean to him.
Laker fans, yes,
they're extremely ruthless to him. Absolutely ruthless. Yeah. And I get the frustration. I get him being mad. To
be like that.
But I would just tell him straight up how it is. What he did was a punk move.
Dude, you would have, if you were in that fan's seat, that would have been you being told to go take to his face downstairs. And
jumping over the railing.
And just
hey, can you sign my shoes?
And then just pray that one of security catches you. Hey, Blug, hold me back.
Hey, look, Dwight, I was just messing around, man. Can you sign my shoes real quick? I need to go make some money. I'm gonna go sell these.
Like, Chris, did you just kiss his neck? What the? No, I fell.
No, man. I think he should. If there's not going to be a suspension, there definitely should be a fine. You can't do that. Like, you can jar back, you can talk crap to the fans, but you cannot threaten them and try to start a fight. That is completely unacceptable. So there definitely needs to be something that happens. Anyways, Pacers are at 14. They're climbing a little bit, but they're actually tied with the Lakers, who are at 9-9 also.
Didn't the Pacers beat the Cavs and the Clippers?
The thing is, the Pacers are winning games they shouldn't win, and they're losing everything else.
Oh, so they're kind of like my Eagles. They win games they're not supposed to, and then they just end up getting, losing stuff.
Yeah, they rise to the occasion, but then don't, defend what they should defend.
Is Paul George?
He was injured for a week, which was killing me on fantasy. And one of the guys, me and one of the guys are going back and forth.
Dude, you guys are always just talking crap. That's hilarious, though. The little gifs you guys use, hilarious. Like the one we said, is me trying to catch up, and it was like a little girl being pulled by her dog.
It was a monkey.
Oh, was it? Oh,
yeah,
okay, a monkey. I don't remember.
I said I'm about to run away with this matchup.
There you go. I was dying.
It was a pit bull or a bulldog pulling a monkey.
I was seriously dying.
So the Lakers are at 15, still sitting at 500. Pistons at 16. Knicks, Trailblazers, Nuggets, Bucks, who are still underperforming. Timberwolves.
No, they're underperforming.
Timberwolves are massively underperforming.
They have so much talent.
Most of the experts. Well, see, that's the thing is that I never really saw them as a playoff team. I felt like they're good and they're going to be really good someday. But all their young talent and all the young talent they have, there's no real superstar. They have an all-star in Andrew Wiggins. They have a potential superstar, definitely an all-star in Karl Anthony Towns. But other than that, all the other guys are just really good role players.
What? And you're talking about Zach LaVine?
Yes, he's a good
back-to-back dunk contest champ.
Okay, why has he been on the bench for 2 years?
Oh, I don't know, dude. I've never even heard of Zach LaVine until the dunk contest.
Right.
So
that's my point. He's a good role player. Yeah. They have a bunch of young guys that are good role players. They're not like the Lakers where they have 3 all-stars, 2 potential superstars.
Potential all-stars. They're not all-stars yet.
No. Okay,
I'm
they
saying,
will
listen,
be
potential,
all-stars.
okay, yeah.
With the numbers they've been putting up, they will be all-stars. But nonetheless, I definitely thought the Timberwolves would be doing better than what they are doing.
They have a new coach, right?
They are, yeah, but they are terrible, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're sitting at 5-11 right now, and they just keep dropping.
It's like
So
the Lakers last year.
It's going to be a rough one for the Timberwolves. They don't really have any excuse for why they're playing the way they're playing.
It's the weather, man. It's freezing out there.
Right? Heat at 22, who again are another surprise. I thought they'd be a little better.
Yeah.
Pelicans at 6-12 at number 23. Kings climbed a spot, but they're still 7-10. And this is what I was telling people. The Kings are overrated by all these analysts. I don't understand what some of these analysts see. I listen to people talk on ESPN and whatnot, and I'm just not understanding what they see. They look on paper and they see Boogie Cousins and they see names, Rudy Gay, but you have to look at how the pieces fit together. How do these players play together? How do they fit together? I don't see great fits within the Kings team. That's why they can't get into a rhythm. It's all about fit and chemistry.
And Boogie Cousins, when he's mad, he just doesn't care and he just won't do anything.
He bullies people and Wizards are at 25, Magic 26, 76ers at 27, Suns, another team that is severely underperforming. They are number 28 at 5-13. Dallas Mavericks, another team. These are all the last 4 teams were supposed playoff teams above the Lakers.
Hey, some of them were in your playoff rankings too.
Well, I had the Mavericks on the bubble, yeah. Because again, you could not foresee the Mavericks having this bad of a season.
True.
Nets at 30, we kind of all saw that one.
That one.
So it leads me to talk about the Lakers. This Lakers team, a lot of people are trying to figure out, and they keep asking the questions, what is it? Because the Lakers did not get their 7th win until December 12th last year. They have 9 wins already this year. They did not have 9 wins last year until January 4th, I believe it was. Okay. So people keep asking the question, why? What? Because it's mostly the same players. With the exception of Luol Deng, who has not been very good this year, and Timothy Mozgov, who is balling out of his mind, it's all the same players. So
Can I get a crack at this? On why it's happening?
Okay, you tell me why you think it's happening, and I'm going to tell you exactly why it's happening.
I doubt you'll tell me exactly why. But all right, my perspective, and not trying to hate on them, I think it was a fresh start. I think with Kobe out, great player, Kobe out, and they had a new head coach. All the young players are like, okay, it's my turn. I can really show what I can do. And last year it was all about Kobe's farewell tour. Dang, that was hard for some reason. Farewell tour, and it was about get Kobe the ball when he was going to perform or going in the city for the last time. It was about him, which he deserved it. I'm not going to take that away from him. But the players weren't able to develop the way they probably normally would have in another team, and so now they're able to kind of just show what they got. And it's kind of like when they say, like what we said about Jared Goff and Todd Gurley. When Jared Goff got started, it could have been that opportunity for Todd Gurley to be, you know what? Let me just really show what I got. Let me just go all in. Let me just prove to everybody that I'm an all-star, I'm a superstar, whatever. I think a lot of these players finally, when it's this new year, new coach, new face of the team, it's no longer Kobe, it's these young players, it's the development. Plus, they don't really have anything to lose right now because their expectations aren't high. So they could try a lot of new things and they can kind of just go all out and do a lot of different, changes on their lineup and everything. So I think it's just a new thing and they're exciting. They have fresh legs too.
Right. They're definitely exciting. The stars are coming back out to Staples Center. Last couple games at Staples Center, it's just been star-studded. There's celebrities everywhere.
What is LA?
Right, but it's the Lake Show, and they're exciting again. They're fun to watch. But it's very simple. Their success is built on Luke Walton. The reason being...
So I got part of it right?
Yeah, what you said was about 25% of it. The remainder of it is tied up in players developing and maturing. D'Angelo's in his second year. He's much more mature. Julius Randle's in his third, even though it's technically his second playing. And his maturity level, I mean, he is so far beyond what anybody expected him to be this year. And then Brandon Ingram is such an awesome defensive player that I think a lot of people overlooked because of his ability to score. And that's what he's done in the second unit. He's taken on the defensive role. So that way he doesn't have to worry about, trying to perform on the offensive end. And because of that, when he finally gets the ball, he's wide open. So he's draining threes like it's nothing. And so he's getting his points.
Dude, his legs are so
Excuse
small,
me.
though.
They are. So the reason why their success is tied up in Luke Walton is because of what he is doing. The Lakers bench right now is first in the league. They are also, their bench is in the top five of a group of 5 players. So any group of 5 players that are on the floor at any time, the bench is in the top 5. The other thing is minutes. No player on the Lakers squad is averaging over 28 minutes a game. However, there are 8 players who are averaging over 20 minutes a game. So what Luke Walton has done is he has balanced it out. If you look at the players at the end of each game, no one is extremely fatigued. No one feels like they are like they're going to pass out, right? It's not like LeBron getting 39 minutes a game, right? So that ultimately is what it's tied up in. And the other thing is culture. Luke Walton has brought an unbelievable culture. Lakers first in points per game, second in rebounds per game, first in assists, and 18th in blocks per game, as far as the Lakers bench, which makes them first overall in the league. Their bench, I mean, just against the Hawks, their bench scored 56 points, and the way they've done it is Jordan Clarkson, Lou Williams take on the scoring role. Brandon Ingram is the defensive stopper. And Larry Nance and Tariq Black do all the dirty work. So they fight down low, they get the blocks, they get the steals in the paint, they get after loose balls, they get all the rebounds. And that's why this second unit is so successful, and that's why this team as a whole is so successful. And they're having success with Julius Randle and D'Angelo Russell out right now, which I think is even more significant. And then you talk about the renaissance of Nick Young. Anybody that follows Nick Young could see this coming. Nobody who follows Nick Young or knows anything about his career would have said that he's going to suck this year under Luke Walton, because we knew that the team was going to get out and run. We knew he was going to get open shots, and Luke was going to allow him to play the way he likes to play. I don't say all this to say that the Lakers' failures last year were all Byron Scott's doing, but he was the wrong coach for the wrong team at the right time, simply because of Kobe.
Because it was a farewell, and he was pretty much like a
right,
loosely saying like a babysitter.
Yeah, but Luke Walton has completely changed the culture, not just revamped, but changed the culture.
The face of them.
I wanna read you a quote. So all the players have been talking about this. Every player that's interviewed, they all say things that just prove that it's really all about Luke Walton, which is crazy. It's such praise to him as a person and as a coach. So Tariq Black was asked after they smashed the Hawks and after Tariq Black shut down Dwight Howard.
Who?
Dwight who? Tariq Black was asked, what is this success? How are you guys successful right now? He said, we give ourselves up for each other. We sacrifice for each other. You can see it on the court. Open man gets the shot. We play defense for each other. You can see it on our team. We smile together. We laugh together. Man, we love each other in this locker room. We have a really good team. We have a really tight-knit group. That's what it's about. Sacrificing for each other and putting selfishness to the side focusing on what's better for the team. It's so true, because the one thing that you notice is there is nobody on this team complaining about minutes. None. Nobody's averaging over 28 minutes a game. Nobody's getting superstar minutes or all-star minutes or even most starter minutes.
Or LeBron minutes.
Right. And nobody's complaining. Everybody's going with it. Everybody's bought in, and everybody believes in Luke Walton. And for that, because Luke Walton has put trust in them and has empowered them to play their game on the court, because like Luke says, ultimately, it's not about me. I'm not doing the dirty work. They are. This is their team. It's about them. And so he puts them in the spotlight, takes himself off the pedestal. And by doing that, he has, in my opinion, made him one of the greatest coaches in the NBA right now.
Well, one thing that excuse me, one thing that I do see in them is that I remember, like, you would always say, I don't want like a Westbrook, I don't want like that big name, I don't want to lose anybody. I kind of see where that fits in now, in the sense to where a superstar will be, will in a sense kind of be like a diva, or want to demand more of the ball, demand more of the attention, demand more of the, control the flow and all that. Whereas right here, it's a bunch of people who aren't there yet, so they're willing and they're wanting to sacrifice for each other.
Right. And because of that, it's building a culture that will last. Because when they do become superstars, if D'Angelo fulfills his role and Ingram fulfills his, and Randall just, surpasses everybody's expectations of what he's supposed to be, it's a culture that's going to stick. Yeah. So in 5-6 years, we're going to see a tight-knit group of players that's still together and still sacrificing for each other, and still playing the way that they're playing now, but better at a superstar level. And that's why I think it's so awesome. And I think that that's ultimately why Luke Walton wanted this job, because he wanted to be able to do exactly what he's doing now and develop something organic. And it's really, really awesome. So I had Andy was just pointing out that I put 2K reference on there.
I didn't know what that meant. I'm like, hey,
so
what's this about?
In 2K17, I just won the NBA championship with the Lakers.
With the Clippers.
With the Lakers.
Oh.
And the only player, don't make fun of me, the only player that I added to my team because I needed a better center was Dwight Howard. Who's a beast in 2K. So if you have 2K and you play my GM, get Dwight Howard as your center. Damn, as much crap as I talk about it. And it's funny. It's funny because Kat, my wife comes down and she goes, why is he on our team? And I was like, well, because she's a Laker fan too. She's like, why is he on our team? And I was like, he was the best center available, and he was the only one that I could get in trade, and he's been killing it. And I was like, I really don't want to. I was like, I regret having him on my team, but it's a game, and he's helping me win, right? So, anyways, he's the only player that I put on the team, and other than that, I used all the current Lakers squad. And what I did is I spread out their minutes. And so nobody played over 28, 29 minutes. I think D'Angelo Russell was the only one that averaged 30 minutes a game, and that was cutting it close. And I had a deep bench because I also I forget who I picked up on the bench. I had somebody else that I picked up on the bench.
I have no respect for you anymore, Chris.
And so that's that's how I managed the team, and I was able to win the championship with that team on the highest difficulty in the game. And that game, dude, if you guys don't have 2K17, I highly, highly recommend that game. I'm not paid by them or nothing. I'm not getting credit for putting this out there, but they call it, I was watching the trailer before they released the game, and they called it the basketball simulation. And it really is, because they have artificial intelligence type of gameplay built in, where the defense will adjust to what you're playing. The other team will adjust to how you're playing. So if you're doing pick and rolls, eventually they're going to figure out how to stop it. By the third quarter, they're going to start to pass you, and then fourth quarter they're just going to take over. So you really have to adjust your game plan. incorporated every aspect of player management and defensive management and offensive game planning and movement and every type of playbook. So that way throughout the game you can adjust and you can play. It's really cool. So anyways, that was my 2K reference.
Yeah, you should also get Madden. They have this thing called Draft Champions where you literally, it's pretty much like, like you're drafting different positions for your team. And then like they'll give you a choice, like you'll have like a superstar like Tim Brown, or do you want like Peyton Manning? Like, so you have to kind of pick, but then you also have like current people, which is awesome. So you gotta like, okay, do I want to build up my defensive line? Do I want to build up my cornerbacks? Do I want to build up my offensive line, running backs, quarterback, tight end, receivers? Like, what do I want to focus on, or spread it out?
My only point that I left out to all that is that what this does is it creates longevity. So if the Lakers do make it into the playoffs, they're all going to be fresh because they're not playing crazy minutes. And this was my point to LeBron skipping out on games. If he would cut down his minutes to 32 minutes a game, he wouldn't need to miss a game. And I think ultimately it's going to play into the Lakers' success. And I feel bad for whoever they play in the first round of playoffs because they're going to be fresh and they're going to be fired up and they're going to be ready to go. And they better be able to keep up. That's all I got to say.
All right, we'll see. All right, so we're going to transition into football. So Rams and Jared Goff got started with their second game, kind of got the ball rolling. Did you see the game? He scored 3 touchdowns. Did you see those first few drives? At the first drive, you can kind of see that he had more control of the offense. He was kind of, calling everybody, getting everybody together. But then towards the end of the game, it seemed like the rest of the team didn't really believe that they could win, which was sad.
The defense, I think ultimately
but the defense is good. I mean,
the defense is great, but the defense did not play very well in that game.
Granted,
but it's Drew Brees.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, and they're in home, whereas the Saints at home are incredible. No matter who they play at home,
I can live with that loss.
They're great. No, so can I. But the thing that I liked is that we saw glimpses of Goff.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, I see potential. I see that he can be great. Whereas that's my biggest thing. If I don't expect him to just ball out and go off Dak Prescott is doing it. I hate the Cowboys. He's doing great for his first season. He's, proven and he's stepping that bar. Romo's not playing. I don't expect to see that with every rookie. As long as I see glimpses of what the future can hold, I'm fine with that. Yeah. And I saw good glimpses. I saw that Gurley was even running, the ball a little bit better every, here and there. He had his little glimpses as well.
Moments.
But he should be producing better. He's the second year. I know he's not like
still
a veteran.
Only getting 50 yards.
I know. And he needs to be putting up at least 100 every few games. He doesn't have to do it every single game, but, do something.
Well, defenses are starting to respect Goff and the passing game, so it will open up the run. But so my thing is that it's an improvement, but it's still just okay.
Well, yeah.
He's, there were passes that were in the dirt. There were passes that were too high or behind the receiver. And so, I agree with you. I saw glimpses of this kid has potential to be something great. But right now he's okay.
No,
he's a good NFL quarterback.
He's a good rookie.
Yeah,
which is not bad. He's better than
better than being a bust.
Exactly, and that's my biggest thing. As long as he's not a bust, I'm fine with waiting a little more time and developing. But I forgot who said it, but somebody was just like, "Okay, this is what we're seeing from Goff in week 12. Why couldn't we just see this in week 1? If this was him all along, we could have just seen this and we would have been fine with that. He would have developed a little more. I get maybe he just wasn't. I guess
that was my point.
No, but maybe he just really wasn't ready. And if he was, whatever, we got to take their word for it. At this point, there's nothing we can really do with it. The Rams lost. What I did like is that there were certain times where you would see the defense rushing him and coming at him. He wasn't scared to just he threw it, take a hit.
He's got that Cali chill.
Yeah, but he's fine getting hit. And which is, I was like, okay, he's not like scared and just kind of freaks out. Like you said, there's a couple balls where he just threw him like, what the hell is that? But he was fine with, what, if I'm gonna make this pass, I'm fine taking a hit. I'm fine getting hit, and I'll be cool.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I talked about. I talked about back early in our, one of our first 2-3 podcasts was that the mentality that he has. He's got like this Cali chill, and he just he's very composed. He doesn't get rattled, and he just kind of stays even keel. It's the same thing with Brandon Ingram. That's why I always bring up Brandon Ingram when I'm talking about Jared Goff, because that's the one thing that all the vets say about Ingram.
I don't think I've ever heard you mention that, to be honest with you.
about Goff.
Comparing them to.
Yeah, no, I said that Ingram is the same way. That he's just he stays the same. He doesn't get overly excited or depressed or angry. He just stays the same, and it equals it leads to
I get you.
An extreme focus.
Yeah.
Which leads to results.
Yeah, which is great. One thing I do want to mention, one of our listeners actually hit me up. It was not this week of football, it was the week prior, and I forgot to bring it up last time. Sorry about that, Anthony. So he did tell me he was watching the Cowboys. It wasn't who the Cowboys played last week. I want to say it was the Browns. But when they played, it was for 1 minute of actual gameplay time. It took 12 minutes of like actual live time for them for one minute of game time. So it was after, and he was telling me, he's like, okay, it's been this time, it's been time, which I was like, dang, that's kind of slow. And within, I forgot what he told me, it was like, I want to say within like the whole quarter, he said that they only actually played like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
Because the rest was just like kind of just, waiting and kind of trying to kill time.
Commercial breaks.
Yeah, no. That's just actual playing time. Like of the 15 minutes of the quarter. Yeah. It was just like the
12 minutes of actual playing time. Yeah, my dad did that math about 2 years ago, and that was one of his biggest points. He said that was one of the things that was driving him nuts too. So I have a question for you, though, about the Rams before we move on. Do you feel that the Rams should pursue Tony Romo to mentor Goff, knowing that obviously he would probably take the starting role at least for a period of time?
No, because I think that Romo's going to want to win. And I mean, I don't know Romo's personality, so I don't know if he'd be the type to want to mentor somebody, because there's a lot of quarterbacks that don't really want to take that role and wouldn't do it. If he's down for it, maybe, but I think Romo would be focused on kind of keeping his job, whereas I don't think he'd want the same thing now. He doesn't want to get Drew Bledsoe and have two quarterbacks take his job, back to back.
Yeah, I think it would be worth a shot.
Dude, so
as far as yeah, but that's the thing. So because he's injury prone, there's a good chance that Goff would still get playing time, and maybe they even, mix it up a little bit and have Goff play a couple games just so Romo could stay healthy.
I don't think the Rams could afford Romo, to be honest with you, either.
But if they dude, they're in LA now. If they did, though, I think it makes them an instant contender. Because Romo, I mean, you can't deny Romo's numbers and the fact that he's a great quarterback.
I'm not denying Romo. I'm denying our offensive talent, our offensive line, and our receivers.
I think Romo makes them better, though.
I don't think they'll make him contender better. In Dallas, he had
Kenny Britt is making Jared Goff look really good.
No, he's like they'll show up every few games, but then other games where the hell were you? Whereas in Dallas, he had Dez, who's an all-star, who's a Pro Bowl player.
When Kenny Britt was in Tennessee with McNair, he was really good. He needs a really good quarterback.
I mean, I just don't see them being contenders right away or worthy contenders if Romo gets there. I think they still need to work on their offense a lot, and they need to fill in those.
Dude, the Broncos positions. Made it to the Super Bowl with a quarterback.
Yeah, but their defense is better than the Rams' defense now. Their defense was like one of the all-time greats. The Rams' defense now is good, really good, but they're not all-time great. Since you brought up
the Raiders.
Oh, well, I was going to go to the Broncos. Did you see what they did? They kicked the 62-yard field goal, which ended up they missed it 62 yards. Missed it, of course, and then it ended up helping the Chiefs kick some field goals and win the game. Which now, if the playoffs start today, the Broncos are not in the playoffs. I mean, obviously, they still have a couple of weeks, but with, like you said, the Raiders and the Chiefs being so good in the AFC West, they're pretty much going to be guaranteed to go in there. Did you see that Raiders and Panthers game, though? That was a dope game.
Yeah, that was a cool game.
That was a dope game.
Steph Curry had a bet with, was it Mark Stein, I think? Who's a sports analyst. They had a bet that he would wear a Raiders jersey if they lost.
Yeah.
So there's a picture of him. Yeah, there's a picture of him with a car jersey on. It's pretty cool.
Dude, but that game was ridiculous because the Panthers were pretty much all but out of it. And then I remember seeing a bunch of Raiders fans on like Facebook. Oh, we're in this Raiders, all this stuff, and I'm like, I just thought it was funny. And then there's 25 points that go unanswered, and then the Panthers are up by 7. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of getting a little interesting now. I mean, it was dope. It's going back and forth, and teams are playing good, and then Carr kind of comes back in and gets some of those 11 points and ends up winning them the game. Well, I mean, it was just a dope game. It was one of those games that was exciting, that it was going back and forth. I mean, even though I love defensive plays, I also love shootouts when it could happen. But then also the defense was, kind of was playing into it, because you see interceptions, you see sacks, you see fumbles, you see, all these great defensive plays. And Khalil Mack was killing it for their defense, which is going to be the future of their defensive side. But the energy that guy plays with, even though their defense wasn't as great in the beginning of the season, they're getting better, and they're getting behind him, and they're getting behind his energy and the, just the leadership that he's bringing to them. So I did want to ask you one thing. Okay, there's two teams that I want to bring to you, and I want you to let me know if you think that they should be taken serious. First team is the Detroit Lions. They're leading their division with 7-4. So they're winning their division. And also the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 6-5. They're not winning their division, but they're in the playoff hunt still. The reason why I bring them up is because they beat the Seahawks yesterday. They beat the Seahawks on Sunday, and they shut out the Seahawks from touchdowns. Seahawks had a safety. They didn't sack Jameis or anything, or Jameson, but Jameis. They didn't sack Winston. But one of the offensive linemen from Tampa Bay committed a penalty in the end zone, so ended up calling a safety on it. And then the only other points that the Seahawks had was a field goal. So, I mean, they shut him out. They didn't let him score a touchdown, and they scored. It was 14-5. So it was kind of like a really, like short point game or low point game. But, I mean, being the Seahawks, it's not a easy task, especially like that.
Yeah, I think for the Bucks, I think they're playing above their head right now, and I think Atlanta just has too many weapons. They'll hold them off. But as far as Detroit, I mean, I don't see anybody in their division that can pass them. I mean, Green Bay would have been picked as the favorites in preseason, but they're 2 games back, and they're not looking like they're going to gain any momentum in the next 4 games. I mean, it's football. Anything can happen. But, yeah, I mean, I would say that definitely have to take the Lions seriously. And Bucks, I think they're still a year or 2 away from really being serious contenders.
I agree. I think the Bucks are kind of like the Titans. They have a good young team, but there's still a couple years to where they can be contenders in the playoffs or even go deep into the playoffs. Both really good teams. Really bright futures with really great young quarterbacks and a solid young core, which is great.
Game I watched, though, that was my favorite game of the week for Thanksgiving week was the Redskins and Cowboys. That was a fun game to watch, man. It was exciting all the way through. And Cousins is for real now. Right? Yeah, it was a Thanksgiving Day game. And, dude, Cousins is for real.
He's been doing good for the last couple of weeks. He just started off.
All season.
He started off like a couple of games where he was kind of off. He wasn't, like, looking like his normal self from last season. But then maybe I want to say, like, game 3 or 4 is when he kind of picked it up and kind of just started going off. Yeah. Started putting up, like, crazy numbers.
Yeah, dude. He got me. I started him over Phillip Rivers this weekend. Which was a tough decision to make, but
how was it a tough decision to Phillip Rivers on a bye week?
Well, no, Phillip Rivers wasn't on a bye week.
I thought. Wait,
he was playing.
That was the week before that. Never mind, he played like he was on a bye week.
Yeah, no, he.
No, what's his name? Melvin Gordon didn't do anything. No, which he's been killing it.
Phillip Rivers played Houston, and so I felt like Cousins had a better shot, and Cousins and Reed hooked up for 2 touchdowns.
Dude, and, Reed killed it, and his shoulder is like separated now, right?
Yeah, dude, he had a bad shoulder, and he still got me 29 fan points.
PPR,
yeah, in the PPR league. So, what you were gonna say something before I cut you off, though? Go.
I was gonna actually go into fantasy players, and I was gonna go into sleepers.
Yeah, playoffs. So when do the playoffs start in fantasy? This is my first time playing fantasy, so I'm not sure how it works.
Week 13.
So next week.
No.
This weekend would be 13.
No, the week after. We're going to be in 12. Wait, aren't we?
No.
No, yeah, next week. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, this weekend is the last week of the regular season.
Okay, so then next weekend is playoffs.
It's 14, my bad. Yeah, it's 14.
So, one player that I highly recommend for fantasy playoffs, Reed is hot right now, so you definitely want to pick him up if possible.
No, you cannot pick up Reed. That was like a top 3.
I mean, he's definitely. I'm sure he's not available, but if you have Phillip Rivers as one of your quarterbacks, definitely play him because he's going to be playing Cleveland in the playoffs, and he is going to absolutely demolish Cleveland. I mean, he got me 40 fan points against Houston, who have a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
He is going to just eat Cleveland alive. So
come on, Chris,
definitely start Phillip Rivers.
Not starters.
No, well, because the thing is I don't know that people really pay attention to that. They
do.
Because, like, for instance, if you have Drew Brees, you might think, oh, I'm going to start Drew Brees, of course. And if you have Phillip Rivers on your bench. No, I'm saying Phillip Rivers is the player you want to play.
No, we're talking sleepers to get off the wire.
Sleepers to get off the wire.
That are still available.
Yeah. Doug Martin might be available because he came back from his injury 2 weeks ago. He's been a little inconsistent. But again, I mean, he's coming back, so I'm sure he'll get better over the next couple weeks.
Oh, speaking of Doug Martin, Charles Sims, he's got activated on the injury reserve return list. So he might be coming back either this week or next week. So that might not be a bad pickup if you can. One person that I also did pick up last week, not sure if he's still there, but in one of my leagues, Sammy Watkins was, because he got hurt in week 2 or 3. He was off for 8 weeks. He just came back last week. He got 80 yards catching, which was good. But I mean, and that was off of, they played him about 50 to 60% of the snaps. So he's going to get a lot more involved. He's obviously their number one receiver when healthy. So if you can, be on the lookout for Sammy Watkins to try to grab him up this Wednesday in the, win that waiver wire.
If you need a flex player, Kenny Britt and Jared Goff have really, really good chemistry. Kenny Britt would be a good flex or wide receiver 3 option. He's owned in 61% of leagues. So it'd be worth checking to see if he's on the wire. I mean, he might be there.
Yeah, that would be a good pickup because he probably is available in a few leagues. One other one that I was going to mention would be Ted Ginn Jr. with the Panthers. He just scored his first 2 touchdowns these last 2 games. And last season in week 13, 14, and 15, he had 2 touchdowns each game. So he does have that history of, going off those last couple of weeks with Cam Newton. So be on the lookout if you could get him.
Another one that is extremely hot right now and is only owned in 57% of leagues is Tim Hightower, running back for New Orleans.
How was he so
I don't know
low?
how he's so low. But I picked him up a couple weeks ago. Last week he had 18 points. This week I didn't play him, and I wish I would have because he got 25 points. And then he has a very favorable schedule for the rest of the season. So I would definitely there's a very good chance he's on the wire in your league.
He should be owned a lot more than
that. He should be at least 80% because he is playing out of his mind right now.
One other person I was going to mention would be Derrick Henry. It's been more of the DeMarco Murray show in Tennessee, but they go on bye this week, so if he's not in there, try to grab him up when you can. If you have the spot open, just keep him on there, store him up, because Murray's he's a little older and he's been playing almost all of their a good amount of their snaps every game this season, so it's a lot of wear and tear. So they're probably going to want to keep him healthy as long as they can. They don't want to just burn him out like they did in Dallas. So the coaching staff has been saying that they want to share the load a little more with Derrick Henry, and they also want to use him in those short yardage situations. So if it's like a 3rd and 2 or 3 and 1, they're going to use him. Or especially if it's at those goal line situations, they're going to use him. He's a big guy. He's 6'2", I want to say 240 or 250. He's a big guy. He made DeMarco Murray look small, and he's not a small guy. So I mean, even if he just gets those couple of touches near the goal line and scores a touchdown, that's a couple of points right there. So be on the lookout to get him if you can.
Yeah, JJ Nelson, stay away from him.
Oh, I thought you were gonna mention again. I was like, dude, no. Heck no, that's horrible.
I picked him up because he had 2 big weeks in a row. I picked him up. I was like, yeah, man, I think this would be a good one. He's only owned in 19% of leagues, and his 2 big weeks were it. I mean, he hasn't done anything else. So stay away from Nelson. And also, I would stay away from, well, I don't want to say I would stay away from, but I would be cautious with Sterling Shepard. He's been very inconsistent. Not counting this past week, but the previous 3 weeks, he had great weeks, 13, 13, 14. But other than that, the rest of the season, if you go back, he's been a little inconsistent. I mean, he's had
those first like 3 weeks.
Yeah, so he's had 6 really good weeks, and the rest have been kind of low. But my point is that he's a little inconsistent to put out there in the playoffs. It might be scary to put him out there in the playoffs because you don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him, stashing him on your bench just in case, like Victor
Somebody
Cruz
goes down.
Or someone were to kind of get hurt, so he gets a lot more playing time or he gets a bigger share of the ball. Because we all know
they have a rough schedule too.
Well, their main target's going to be Beckham.
Yeah,
it's going to be Odell. So, I mean, just keep that in mind. I mean, if you want to, I've drafted him and I've just kind of kept him on my bench just to not let anyone else grab him. And just in case I ever need him or he ever, has a bigger role, I could use him. But I mean, yeah, I haven't really started him. But other than that, I want to say that's it. Oh, Malcolm Mitchell did really good for the Patriots last week, and Gronk kind of being hurt and not being 100% lately. They're gonna try to keep Gronk out. I mean, Patriots are gonna go to the playoffs and they want to keep him healthy. So if you grab Malcolm Mitchell, his role is gonna get a lot bigger, especially during the regular season.
Cameron Brate from the Bucks, he's been very consistent. If you need a tight end that'll get you, 10, 12 points and have the potential to have a big game, he's been very consistent, and he's only owned in 50% of the leagues. So
how the heck is that possible? I don't see how that is. Like, I don't see how Cameron Brate is still available. I've tried to get him in like every one of my leagues for like a couple of weeks, and every single week he's taken.
Yeah, I picked him up about 5 weeks ago when Reed went out with an injury, and he's been a good substitute for me.
Yeah, I've wanted him just to kind of keep him on my bench and have him when Delaney Walker was going to go on a bye week, which is this upcoming week. But I mean, he's been used up. I'm probably going to pick up CJ Fedorowicz from the Texans. He's been pretty good. Last week his numbers weren't as good. I think he only had like 8 or 9 points. But the weeks before that, I think had a touchdown. He's the only player in the Texans who's had like a receiving touchdown in almost, I want to say, like 3 or 4 games. So he's getting at least a touchdown when DeAndre Hopkins and Will Fuller aren't getting anything. But yeah, that's it. So week 10.
I'm looking at the time right now. It looks like we made up for the 2 short weeks in a row.
Almost, pretty much.
Hour and 7 minutes we're at right now. So
yeah.
Well, thanks for hanging in with us for the long episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I didn't realize how long that was.
That was because we had some good conversations.
Yeah.
So thanks, guys. Everybody have a fantastic week, and we will be talking to you guys next week.
Yeah. Happy late Thanksgiving and holidays coming up. But yeah, everyone hit us up on social media, and we'll keep you guys posted. Have a good one.